Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode on how to secure a postdoctoral research position. In my previous videos, I talked about initial considerations to take into account when searching for a postdoctoral research position. Let's say you've ticked all the boxes, your age is still within the recommended range, and the date you obtained your PhD is still within the recommended range. The question now is what next? For what next, I'll say it is to establish contact with a potential postdoctoral research host. And how do you go about that? You can go about that in unfamiliar and familiar route. So for the familiar route, let's say you attended an academic event like a conference, a symposium, a webinar, a roundtable discussion, and you had the opportunity to meet or interact with this senior academic, a professor or a senior lecturer. You were able to ascertain that this academic is qualified to host a postdoc. You had an opportunity to interact, or even if you didn't have an opportunity to interact, perhaps the person presented a paper or was an invited guest speaker. You've been able to establish that that professor is researching your area of research interest. That is one way you can go about it. When you get home after the meeting, you're able to sit down and write a code email on that basis. That is the background on which you now establish your communication. You met him or her at an academic event. Assuming the professor was the keynote speaker, you garnered quite a number of lessons or points from the presentation. You can bring that in when writing your code email. Another way you can establish contact is you've never met this person at any event before. You've never had any close interaction. You've never had the opportunity to meet the professor or the academic at any event. You were only able to establish contact or to know that he or she does research in your area of interest by going through the university website, and then you came across the profile of that academic, and then the research of the professor aligns with your research area of interest. So that is an unfamiliar route. You leverage that to send your code email. So there are different ways. Another way is also through recommendations, right? The other time I made a post and I was saying that as a doctoral student, you should not fight with your PhD supervisor. And some people didn't take it in good faith. They didn't know what I was saying because I know that there is a lot of interconnectedness in academia. You can get a postdoctoral research position even through recommendation, right? Let's assume that you're trying to establish contact with a potential host. Your former supervisor is a friend or a friend to a friend to the current person you want to work with. So sometimes it may not go well if there has been some friction in the past. And that is why it's important to build good relationships and ensure that even if there are misunderstandings, it doesn't come from you. That was just the point I was trying to make there. I've been able to point out that for you to establish contact with a potential host, it could be through familiar or unfamiliar route. So it's not only when you have met the person, it can also be that you have never met this academic before and then you now want to work with them because you discovered that they are doing research in your own field. Another way, like I said, is through recommendation. So there are many ways you can establish contact. Having known the different routes to take in deciding who to work with, now you want to reach out to the potential host. How do you go about it? Personally, I make use of the code emailing route a lot, to the point that I've even gone ahead to develop a course. I have a course on code email because it works. It's a very effective means of reaching out to whoever you want to work with. What are the things you need to emphasize in your code email? I want you, first of all, to know that as a postdoc, there is no way you run away from research, from doing research, or from handling publication related roles. So if you're someone who doesn't like writing manuscript for journals, maybe a postdoc is not for you. If you're someone who doesn't like research, you don't like the stress of conducting research, perhaps a postdoc is not for you. But if you really want to do a postdoc, I want to tell you that you need to have research skills. You need to have publication skills. You need to have a higher level of independence, being able to work under minimal supervision compared to a PhD candidate. Having done that, the next thing is to send the cold email. Your cold email should be compelling, it should be straightforward, it should contain all the relevant details, and then make sure that you are putting your best foot forward. If you ask me what is that most important document that should accompany your cold email, I will say it is your curriculum vitae, your CV. Before you send your CV, take time to revamp it, fine tune it, and make sure that all the key points are highlighted in terms of your expertise, and also the relevant sections that should be in an academic CV, that they are well captured. So once you have done that, go ahead and send your cold email. Always give the impression that you are not fixed minded, you are willing to work with this potential host. Remember, you are the one who is in need of a position. You want to give the impression that you are ready and willing to come out of your comfort zone. So, assuming the position that you're looking for, let's say it's not available for some reasons, or there are no funding to sustain it, but there's something related that you can fit into. You will not say because the particular one you're looking for is not available and for that reason you're letting it go. No, you are ready to come out, to leave your comfort zone and do something that is related, even though it's not your usual environment, it's not your usual space, but you're willing to go all the way to make the most out of the opportunity. That is for when you're going through the code emailing route. Sometimes it could be an open call, one that is out there in the public. The requirement may be more than the CV. You may be asked to attach a proposal or attach a cover letter or research statement or whatever it is. Just make sure that you take your time to write them, you revamp the ones that need to be revamped, and then you do your best and you send it, and then you hope for the best. If there's anything that I mentioned that is not clear, that you need more clarifications on, please do let me know. I will see you in my next video. Thank you for listening.